Welcome to History Students Watching. As we pick up in our lesson today, we're going to continue John Glenn's story. What do we call a person who is trained to travel and work in space? Students watching? Jackson. Astronauts. And we're going to learn more about the experience that John Glenn has, as well as learning a little bit more about Neil Armstrong, someone who also loves to fly and begins to travel into outer space. Let's take a look at some words we'll come across as we read today. Read our first two for us. Adriana.
Senator.
Long A, and giant.
A.
Yes, a senator is someone who serves in our government and they help represent their state. And then as Mr. Glenn began to age or grow older, he doesn't let his accomplishments become any less. In fact, he decides that he is going to still work to achieve even more, even as he ages. One of the places he's able to travel in as an older person is outer space, and he does so on this. Read it for us, Aiden.
Discovery.
Yes, the Discovery is the name of the space shuttle that he travels on into outer space. Read our next phrase for us, Una.
Licensed.
The whole phrase.
Naval aviator.
Long A,
Aviator.
long A,
Aviator.
long E,
Aviator.
long A.
Aviator.
Yes.
Licensed.
Yes, naval has to do with the military, the Navy. Aviator, someone who flies, and a license is permission to do something. So he's able to earn that license. And particularly, this applies to Neil Armstrong as we pick up his story as well. Traveling into outer space can be a quite exciting experience. Kathleen, go ahead and turn off the lights for us. Here you see a picture of the space shuttle, the Discovery, as it is launching into outer space. Now, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of fuel, Joshua, to be able to send that space shuttle into outer space. So you can see that Discovery there being launched. This would be a picture of the Discovery from outer space. You can see that the Earth would be underneath him at that point. And all kinds of other things from outer space look very strange and very different from the way we would see it as they look from this space shuttle back down towards Earth. So that is from outer space. Now here you see the Discovery landing. As the Discovery comes back to Earth, there are some things that will help to slow its speed down. And you can see that at the back, it almost looks like a very large parachute that's helpful in slowing that space shuttle down and helping that return to Earth. So it is quite the process. And John Glenn and Neil Armstrong enjoy learning and flying more as they grow in their experience of flying. They enjoy learning and doing things with outer space. So we're going to learn more of their experiences. We're picking up on page 426, Kathleen Lights. Let's begin reading more about John Glenn at this time and his career in politics. Now, politics has to do with serving in our country's government, and John Glenn becomes active in wanting to help our nation's government. Begin there for us, Asa.
Mr. Glenn was elected.
Start with politics after his space flight.
Politics. After his space flight, Mr. Glenn began looking for another way to serve his country. Politics became his next career. Mr. Glenn was elected to represent Ohio as a U.S. Senator and held that office for 25 years.
Well done. So pause. Mr. Glenn found another way to serve his country. We know that he already served in the military during World War II, but he also wanted to serve during those times of peace and politics. So he decided, I'm going to represent the state of Ohio as a senator. How long did he do so for? Students watching. Emily. Carson?
5 years.
Yes, it was 25 years. Well done. But he still doesn't stop in wanting to accomplish more and enjoying his love of space. So let's read more about some of the trips that he takes into outer space. Continue reading for us, Dev.
One more trip to space. Senator Glenn never gave up on his dreams. When he was 77 years old, he heard about a study NASA wanted to do on aging in space. This could be his chance to return to space again. He applied for the job and was selected. He would have to do the training any astronaut would do. But he was not a young man anymore. Could he do it? Yes. He completed his training and was ready to be an astronaut one more time.
Good expression. Now let's pause. Why did John Glenn get to go back to space when he was 77 years old? Students watching. Cadence.
Because he signed up.
Yes.
He got selected.
Exactly. He signed up. He was selected. NASA wanted to do some research in outer space on aging or growing older. And since he was older, he thought this will be the perfect job for me. And he was selected. He had to train, but now he's ready to travel again. Continue. Kathleen.
On October 28, 1998, John Glenn returned to space aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery. This mission sent 6 men and an orbit.
Okay, start again with this mission sent.
This mission sent 6 men and 1 woman to do medical research. The crew spent 9 days in space and
You're right.
orbited
Mm-hmm.
the Earth 134 times and traveling over 3 million miles. As part of this crew, John Glenn became the oldest person to travel in space.
Good. Now let's pause. So he's traveling to space this time in the Space Shuttle Discovery. How was this time different from his first time in outer space? How much time did he spend there? Students watching. And Presley.
9 days.
9 days. How many people went this time? Dev? Help him out, Emily.
7 people.
Yes, so he was one of 7 people. There were 6 other people that went with him. The men and women were doing medical research there. And how many times did he orbit the Earth during that time in outer space? Students watching. And Asa.
134 times.
Yes, 134. Remember, the first time he was in outer space, how many times did he orbit? Students watching. Emily?
9.
Not 5, but
3.
3, right. So he orbited 3 times, this time 134 times. And so this time it lasted 9 days instead of the 5 hours from the first time. Let's read more about some recognition he's given for his great accomplishments. Continue reading for us, Madison.
John Glenn spent his life serving his country as a true patriot. In 2011, Mr. Glenn, along with the 3 astronauts of Apollo 11, was presented a Congressional Gold Medal for his service as an astronaut in the space program.
Very good expression. Pause. So he loved his country and he was able to serve in many different ways. There you can see at the bottom of this page a picture of John Glenn. What special recognition was he given for his accomplishments in the space program? Students watching. And Carson. It is beyond words that I can describe all of this magnificence and power that I see. Let's look at the Bible says. Read that verse for us. Cadence.
The Bible says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Psalm 19:1.
Well done. So pause. The Bible from Psalms tells us that God's creation brings him glory, and that God's glory can be seen in his creation, his magnificence, his power, and his majesty. Let's take out a pencil and let's look at our comprehension check together. True and false. Number 1, John Glenn took swimming lessons before he graduated from college. Was it swimming, students watching? Presley?
No.
What was it? Not swimming, but
Flying.
flying lessons. So that would be false. Number 2, when John Glenn heard about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, he decided to enlist in the military. Was that the event, Dev?
True.
It was true. Good. Number 3, John Glenn became a pilot and flew in both World War II and the Korean War. Students watching? Jackson?
True.
True is right. Number 4, John Glenn set the speed record for the fastest flight across the continental United States. Kathleen?
True.
It is true. Well done. Number 5, 3 men were chosen to be the first astronauts. Lexi?
4.
How many?
1,
Not 1.
2,
Una?
7.
7 is right. So it is false. It was 7. Number 6, John Glenn was the first American to orbit the Earth. Dev?
True.
True. Number 7, after serving in the Navy, John Glenn became a governor. Students watching? Madison?
False.
False. It would be a senator. Number 8, John Glenn was exactly 77 years old when he had a second chance to go into space. Students watching? Jackson?
True.
True is correct. Well done. Now place your pencils down. Let's learn more about Neil Armstrong. He also enjoys flying and has the opportunity to travel into outer space. Let's read more about him. Continue reading for us, Adriana.
Love of planes. Ever since his first airplane ride as a small boy, Neil Armstrong was fascinated with planes and flying. Neil began building model airplanes. When World War II started, he was not old enough to serve in the military, but he studied and knew everything about each plane that flew during the war.
Good accuracy. Let's pause. What did Neil Armstrong enjoy building as a small boy? Students watching? Asa.
Planes and things that could fly.
Exactly correct. Now, when World War II started, he wasn't old enough at that time to join the military. But during that time, he learned and he studied and he applied himself in those areas so that he could learn as much as that he was able to during that time. Let's read now more about how he learns to fly. Continue, Arthur.
Learning to fly. I'm going to fly a plane someday, Neil thought. But lessons were expensive, and he needed to get a job to pay for them. Like John Glenn, he looked for jobs to earn extra money. He worked at a donut factory and mowed lawns. By the time Neil was only 15 years old, he had earned enough money to take lessons and get his pilot license.
Good accuracy. Let's pause. So how old was he when he earned his pilot's license? Students watching? Aiden. 15. Maybe some of you would like to do so and try to be able to learn to fly those planes very early as a teenager. He was able to do so. Let's continue reading more about what he does in high school and then some things that he has that he wants to do later on. Continue, Josh.
After high school, Neil went to college on the Navy scholarship. But even before graduation, his country needed him. He trained to fly single-engine fighter planes and received his naval
Long A. A. Long E.
V
Long A.
8 tour license when he was only 20 years old.
Good. Way to use that phonics. Pause. What did Neil do after high school? Students watching? And Lexi. Adriana?
Went to college.
Yes, he went to college on a Navy scholarship, and then what did he become, Lexi? Has to do with planes. What do we call the people who fly planes, Lexi?
Astronaut.
No, the people who fly planes are called what, Dev? Una? Pilots. So he became a pilot for the Navy. How old was he when he earned his Navy aviator license? Dev?
20.
20. He was 20 years old when he received that ability to earn that license as a naval aviator. So he is ready to accomplish much. His hard work is going to pay off. We'll pick up in our next lesson learning more about Neil Armstrong. Right now, go ahead and close your history book, set it to the side. We're going to take a look here at my map and several types of landforms. I'm going to point to one, and you tell me what I'm pointing to. What is this landform right here that has lava flowing from it? Students watching? And Presley?
Volcano.
Good. What is this landform right here that happens when there's a drop between a river? Emily?
Waterfall.
A waterfall. What do we call this area of little or no rain? Carson?
Desert.
Yes. What is a place of water in a desert? Asa?
Oasis.
Good. What do we call this part of land that's completely surrounded by water? Students watching? Aiden? Island, right. What do we call this area of land that has water on 3 sides but not completely surrounded, Kathleen?
Peninsula.
Good. What is this low area of wet land? Emily?
Marsh.
Marsh, right. What do we call this area of land around here that would be a small body of water? Carly?
Lake.
A lake. What do we call this area that has a deep cliff between it? Asa? Not a valley. Anna?
Gorge.
Gorge. Now, a valley would be here. A valley would be between those 2 mountains. Now, at this time, our girls, you may come line up in your places, and boys, you may come line up in your places. We have our astronauts ready to travel between the planets. We're going to see which astronaut can make it the farthest. Let's have Carson be scorekeeper for the boys team, moving the boys astronauts, and Una come be scorekeeper, moving the girls astronaut, to see which one can make it the farthest across the universe from planet to planet. So first question, first 2 to the middle, face the audience. Students watching, you'll want to listen to see if you can be accurate in your answers as well. See if you can give the answer faster than these here. What do we call a person who is trained to travel and work in space?
Astronaut.
Boys, astronaut may move first. Who was the first American to orbit the Earth, a U.S. Senator, and the oldest man in space? Say it again.
Glenn John.
You're very close. His name is John Glenn, though. No points. Next 2. Tell me a war that John Glenn was a pilot in.
Korean War.
Good. Girls have it next 2. How many men were chosen to be the first astronauts?
7.
7. Both astronauts may move. Next 2. What record did John Glenn set? Has to do with